In the heart of a bustling city where shadows dance between the neon lights, there lies a darkness that creeps beyond the alleys and into the very fabric of society. Among the countless stories whispered in the dead of night, few are as chilling as those of the fake cops who prowled the streets, their badges mere facades for unspeakable horrors. It was a humid summer night when Sarah found herself driving down a desolate stretch of road, the only sound the hum of her engine and the occasional chirp of a cricket. As she rounded a bend, she saw flashing lights in her rearview mirror and the distinct silhouette of a police car behind her. Heart pounding, she pulled over, her mind racing with thoughts of what she might have done wrong. A figure approached her window, clad in a uniform that seemed just a bit too pristine, his badge gleaming under the streetlights. "Mom, do you know why I pulled you over?" the man asked, his voice cold and authoritative. "No, officer," Sarah stammered, her eyes fixed on the badge pinned to his chest. "License and registration, please." Trembling, Sarah handed over her documents, her fingers brushing against the cool metal of her keys. The officer took them without a word, disappearing into the darkness for what felt like an eternity. When he returned, his expression had changed, his features contorted into a twisted grin. "Everything seems to be in order, ma'am," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "But I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to step out of the vehicle." Terrified, Sarah obeyed, her heart pounding in her chest. As she stepped onto the asphalt, she noticed something glinting in the moonlight, handcuffs dangling from the officer's belt. And then, before she could react, he lunged at her, his true intentions revealed in the glint of his eyes. In the heart of the city, where the buildings towered like monoliths and the streets teemed with life, there lived a man named David. By day, he was a mild-mannered accountant, but by night, he roamed the streets as a vigilante, his only weapon a badge he had purchased online. Draped in his makeshift uniform, David prowled the alleyways, his eyes scanning the darkness for signs of trouble, and trouble, it seemed, always found him. One fateful night, he came across a young woman huddled in the shadows, her face streaked with tears. Without hesitation, he approached her, his hand resting on the hilt of his non-existent gun. "Mom, is everything all right?" he asked, his voice projecting the confidence he didn't truly feel. The woman looked up at him, her eyes wide with fear. "Please, you have to help me. My boyfriend, he—" Before she could finish, the sound of footsteps echoed down the alley, and a group of men emerged from the darkness, their faces obscured by shadows. David's heart raced as he stepped forward, his hand instinctively reaching for his badge. "I'm a police officer," he lied, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "You need to step away from the lady?" To his surprise, the men obeyed, backing away slowly as if sensing the danger he posed. But as they disappeared into the night, David felt a chill run down his spine, a chill that had nothing to do with the cool night air. For in that moment, he realized the true horror of his deception. In a quiet suburban neighborhood where children played in the streets and families gathered for barbecues, there lived a man named Michael. To his neighbors, he was the picture of respectability, a devoted husband, a loving father, and a pillar of the community. But behind closed doors, Michael harbored a secret, a dark desire that gnawed at his soul like a ravenous beast. For years, he had fantasized about wielding power, about commanding the respect and fear of those around him. And so, one fateful night, he donned a uniform stolen from a thrift store to set out into the night, his heart pounding with excitement. His first victim was a teenage girl walking home from a friend's house, her headphones blocking out the world around her. With a practiced swagger, Michael approached her, his badge glinting in the moonlight. "Hey, you there! Stop right where you are." The girl froze, her eyes wide with fear as she turned to face him. "Dolly, what do you want?" Michael grinned, relishing the rush of power coursing through his veins. "I'm a police officer, and you're under arrest for... But before he could finish his sentence, the girl turned and bolted, disappearing into the darkness before he could react. Frustrated and humiliated, Michael returned home, his fantasies shattered by the cold light of reality. And as he lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, he knew that he would never be able to escape the mask of authority he had so foolishly donned. As the sun rose over the city, casting long shadows across the streets, The truth of the fake cops was laid bare for all to see. With each passing day, more stories emerged. Stories of innocent people preyed upon by those who wore the badge of authority like a cloak of darkness. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, there were glimmers of hope, ordinary citizens who refused to be cowed by the specter of false authority, who banded together to expose the truth and hold the perpetrators accountable for their crimes. And though the scars left by the fake cops would never fully heal, they served as a stark reminder of the price of deception, a price paid not in gold or silver, but in the shattered lives of those who fell victim to their twisted fantasies. For in the end, the true horror lay not in the darkness itself, but in the realization that it lurked within us all, waiting to be unleashed upon an unsuspecting world.